Are you sure about that?
I'll skin you alive. Son of a...
Walking around with dangerous magic like that. You're asking trouble walking around with dangerous magic like that.
You think you're doing?
I can't have you reporting back to your superiors.
That spell looks dangerous. Keep your distance. Don't do that! But Isa? She's smarter than that.
Bashir was always dragging her into things.
Stealing the boss's sword? Did he have a death wish?
Who knows? The cat was crazy. He was a fool to trust him.
There's a whole ship down there.
Kerr's orders. Nobody goes in or out until he gets back. Or the boss will skin you as soon as he's done with Regier.
Gods, what a mess.
Picked a bad time to get lost, friend.
Boss went down there? Today?
Yeah, he's off on Regier. Never seen him so.
I've got a bad feeling about this. Something's just felt wrong down there lately.
Now you're sounding as crazy as the cat. You're going on about the Pale Lady next.
Frostmere Crypt Week 12. What a disaster. We haven't seen a caravan in a week. We actually lost ground in the tunnels. Sal and his team were crushed when their section collapsed. I've heard word of a mutiny if next week isn't any better. Week 13. Two new recruits, Isa and Regier. Girl said she did time and sit the mine down in Markarth and it shows. She's got more experience than all of us put together. I put her in charge of the dig. The cat's good with a blade, so I sent him topside with the raiders. Week 14. Tunnels going well. Isa made our first big find yesterday. Buried chest with a couple hundred gold. Topside, Rajir and his team have hit 5 merchants this week. In and out faster than a guard could respond. Looks like things are finally going my way. Week 15. The tunnel broke out into some kind of giant cavern. There's a whole forest down there. Found a nice sword all laid out on some kind of monument and everything. But this is just strange. Eerie. What is this place? It's not like any tomb I've ever seen. Week 16. I think the cat's gone crazy. All of a sudden he can't focus, keeps muttering to himself. He's gone from our best raider to our worst botched jobs in just today. Isa's trying to cover for him, but she's not fooling anyone. Lately he's been asking to see my sword, begging to borrow it. Like all them, get his paws on it. It's beautiful, perfectly balanced. Better than any I've held. Sure he can have it, right in the gut. Left the White River gang this morning with Javier's thugs on our tail. Wasn't a bad gig, but it was time to move on. Rajir and I weren't getting anywhere with him in charge. I'll never understand how he does it. I couldn't find as much as a rumor at Windhelm, while Rajir stayed outside the city, got wasted on moon sugar, and still managed to find us a lead. Some gang out Morthal way. They're holed up in an old ruin, digging out in between raids of the caravans. Okay. Isa. I see her in every shadow, hear her voice on every breath of the wind. In my dreams, in my ears, my mind, the pale lady. We had to stop her. Just return the sword, and we shut her away forever. I can't take this anymore. I have to do it. I must. Rajir. Once in a while I can do a passable Khajiit voice, but not always.
Huh? Thought I heard something.
Damn you! That's the best you can do?
Hey, watch it!
Now ain't this a surprise?
Nope, just a very hungry necromancer who's also a vampire. Speaking of,
You picked a bad time to get lost, friend.
you were saying? There we go. Yeah, the armor I'm wearing, most of it is DX Necromancer armor. The glove, the gauntlets are Daedric gauntlets from Hammett's dungeon pack. The weapon I'm using is the Sword of the Witch King.
You're mine.
Hey!
See, Skyrim fails at some parts of being an RPG. Rec- let's say whether you're using the race mod I'm using or not. Let's say that
Need me some skooma.
you want to play that your character isn't a dragonborn. It's kind of hard to do that with the way they coded everything.
Sure, we're not alone.
Because I don't play as the hero type. My characters are all necromancers, death knights, liches, vampires. Like, let's say that you want to hoard power for yourself, and even if you're gifted the blood of the dragon by Akatosh, your player character doesn't have to be dragonborn or just isn't born with it. And people forget that Akatosh blessed Alessia with it, and she was just a human, an Aelid slave. And Akatosh made a pact with her. There's no reason to say that, what you think is a dragonborn, they're just a fucking person who Akatosh decided to bless with the soul of a dragon in order to fight Alduin. The person does not have to freaking be a destined hero, chosen, blah blah blah. Like prophecy and this and that. I mean, the gods could have just said, "Well, we have this problem. Pick any random person on Nirn to combat it, and then after that, their fate's their own. They can go do what they want." This is what nobody wants to have that discussion. My characters are all vampires, death knights, necromancers, cursed undead, And they see the dragons as an opportunity to gain more power and study ancient knowledge. The whole Chosen One business may work with Star Wars, but in fantasy, sometimes, not always, but sometimes it does get annoying because it locks you off and makes some people think you're the hero, you're the chosen one, you saved us, yay! I'm not. Whether I play as my Breton or this character, I am not my character is not the hero. How this one was marked by Maul like Ball, and she plans on eventually defying him when she gets enough power.
Finally, someone came. The cat, Rajir, ambushed me. He's trying to take the sword back. I can't.
No! No!
It would have been smarter for Rajir to not attack. Nice. We learned the first word of ice form. It's kind of funny. Like, not always, but once in a while. Yeah, oh my god. Yeah, it did. There is always a random great sword just like stuck in the air. It was like right up there. It's just like, yeah, that's Skyrim physics for you, but it's hilarious because it only happens. Well, usually for me it only happens in this dungeon where the sword is like either like right out of reach or is like right above the chest where you can click on it. It's just random and funny as hell. Hold on. Let's see if we can. Okay, you can get that. Oh yeah, because there's that. And once in a while, if you climb up some of these, in these areas, you find like random like buried chests that the developers probably didn't think you'd be able to get to. Nope. We're just going to leave it there. May or may not come back later for it though. Well, let's take a look at this. Was that I use Insanity Sorrows mods to improve some of the weapons. What's ironic is if you come down here, uh, you can get like a couple of lesser soul gems, an adept lock chest, which may or may not be able to open eventually, and you just get some random level loot. I also have a coin retexture installed for the septums that changes it to Alessia and Morehouse's bowl form, which is kind of fitting, seeing as the Alessian Empire was first before Tiber Septums. I think it would be kind of cool if somebody came in here and like added an extra doorway, like right here, like there was like maybe a locked off. Oh, yeah, like turn this area into like a locked off section of the dungeon you could explore further. Oh, nice. Rabbit soup. Oh yeah, I also have a mod installed that does this. Actually gives you animations for eating. Um Now before we move on to the next area, let's go see if we can find out if Isla made it to Morthal, and if not, we're going to have a little talk with the Jarl or Falion at some point.
Can't wait to count out your coin.
Well, I forgot. The sword also apparently has a fear effect. So anyone that's like a certain level, if they get affected by it, that's why you hear them freak out and start kind of trying to like run away.
Wasn't expecting that. Cannot best you.
Yeah, that's why he kind of puts his hand over his head like. "Oh."
Dead. Tell you what, you start running. Enough. Yeah.
Wait, what? Valen's journal? Well, yes, I think this will work. It took a little longer than I planned, but I think it will work out quite nicely. We sought to study under the master in Morthal, but he refused us, so I'll have to convince him that we can be useful. Now, if there's one thing I've learned as a conjurer, it's that we've always needed more empty soul gems. Half of our arts depend on them, after all, and you'd be amazed how fast a practicing conjurer can up his supply. Even Calcemo had to restock regularly, and he's half the conjurer the master ever was. So I figure if we can just set him up with a routine shipment, the master is sure to take us on as apprentices. First I went to Medina and Dawnstar, but that old minx is savvier than she lets on. In trade for soul gems, she wanted spell books, alteration spells in particular. Seems she had a harder time getting them from the college, now with the war on. But she's not half as clever as she thinks. Winterhold's got soul gems even cheaper than hers. So if we got to go that far anyway. Why bother with the middleman or woman, I suppose? So anyway, we get to the frozen hearth, have a chat with good old Nelikar. Sure, he tells me he's got soul gems, but he owes Brina a favor. If we help her out, then he'll help us. So it's Brina's next, and I think I caught her dozing. Must have been the first customer she'd had all afternoon. And as it turns out, the only customer that keeps her in business at all these days is the college, buying up all the silver and gold she can get her hands on, and most of the malachite and gemstones as well. The silver I understand, of course. Its magical properties can be useful in many experiments. But I can't imagine what the college wizards want with gold and jewels. Maybe they're good for something I don't know about, or maybe they're just vain. At any rate, we set off for Markarth, bought us a wagon, and loaded up with good gold and silver from the mines. It wasn't as cheap as I hoped. Seems there's been some trouble in the mines lately, but it'll do. Then in the morning we'll start back to Winterhold to sell the metal to Berna, earn Nalakar's favor so he'll sell us soul gems to bring to the master to earn his respect, so he'll accept us as students. After all, he'd better. Ah,